Hey guys, it's Monica at Academic Phoenix Plus, and welcome to another tutorial. This time we're going to go over a new node that I haven't talked about before, which is called aiNoise Cell. So the best way to demonstrate it is to just show it. So I'm going to create a sphere, and I am going to go to Arnold's light physical sky, and let's take a look at the render right now. So far, so good. Okay. Let's assign an AI standard surface to it. So right click, assign new material, Arnold AI standard surface. Okay, increase the weight to 1. Let's see what we get so far. Pretty simple, pretty normal, no big deal. So one of the things I wanted to go and just demonstrate to you is Arnold provides several types of noise. And noise is a really cool node that you can mess around with. So let's see what it looks like. Let's go to color. Let's click on this little output. I'm going to go to Arnold here. And let's just type in noise. And you're going to see that there's two types. We have aiNoise, which I've used multiple times in tutorials. And we also have something called aiCellNoise. And I'm going to trigger that. And let's see what that looks like. Not very much is going on, but if I click on this little node right there, you'll see that it does have some noise. And if I increase the octaves, you're going to be able to see a little bit more. I'm going to increase my scale just so we can see it a little bit more. And now you can see more of that fancy noise. If I remove adaptive, it gives you this really interesting looking texture. So again, if I take it off selection, render selection, and I'm going to zoom in here because it's kind of hard to see, you get this really fascinating bubbly texture. And I wanted to demonstrate that because if you plug this into, let's say, your bump map, you can get some really interesting effects. So let's try it. Let's go to our hypershade here, and I'm going to click on this little guy right there, which is going to show the shader. Click on my AI standard and scroll down a little bit. Let's go to geometry, and actually I'm just going to grab AI cell and just plug it into bump map. Usually you need to have what's called a 2D node attached to it. So let me go ahead and grab this bump value and plug it in here. Go ahead and do bump value. So we're going to take the out color. It can only read 1. So we'll grab the out color R and plug it into the bump value. There we go. Cool. Okay, there it goes. So now it looks like it's rising and falling. It looks really strange, but it's got a lot of depth. It's picking up shadow information, but notice that the profile doesn't get impacted at all. So just keep that in mind when you do bump value. However, if you really wanted to see this impact the geometry itself and really make it realistic, then what you do is you can grab this out color and plug it into the displacement shader. And then we get this impact. This literally affects the geometry. If I go to my alpha map, notice how the displacement map actually impacts the geometry. I just wanted to kind of show that to you. So let's go ahead and disconnect the displacement map. It goes back to a regular sphere, and let's take a look at a little bit of that noise. So now that we have this, let's take a look at noise 2. Noise 2 gives you a different type of texture, and you can use this to overlap it on, let's say, to create like alien skin or something. We have cells, which also is pretty interesting. Again, if we reduce the octaves, we get a little bit simpler material, and then we can increase it and just make it really intense. You can always play around with the lacunarity, whatever that is, and just kind of mess around with that as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to have fun with this type of shader. Then we have cell 2, which has a similar aspect to it, but just a little bit different noise breakdown. We also have Warlay, which gives you this really interesting pattern. We have, I know I'm mispronouncing it, so you guys are going to have to forgive me, Warlay 2, which also has an interesting kind of pattern to it. And then we have alligator, and alligators are really also fun to look at. One of the cool things about alligator, if I go to randomness and decrease it to 0, for example, it turns into this really interesting pattern. So let me reduce my octaves to 1. So I have squares, and then as I start increasing my octaves, you can see that I get some really fun patterns inside this shader. So we can create very unique shaders and textures just using aiNoise and what it provides. If I want to decrease this scale, we can take a look at it, what it looks like just 1 by 1 by 1. Or of course you can increase it by 10 by 10 by 10. And you get something very, very interesting and unique. Now I'm afraid I just have to see how it looks like in displacement just because I'm a sucker for this stuff. There you go. Really interesting. I just like how it looks. So as mentioned before, it's really cool if you just kind of mess around with this. The purpose of it is to kind of give you an idea of what you can do procedurally. I am planning to do more tutorials, and I just wanted to demonstrate this aiCellNoise just so you can see that we can create not just textures using from images. You can create some of the procedural shaders using whatever Arnold provides for us, and this is one of them. So I'm really in love with this one because imagine if there's a floor. Actually, I'll just do that right now. I'm just going to throw it on the floor. So I'm going to make a plane, put this down, and then grab the standard surface, and let's see what that looks like. It's a little bit blurry, but it does give us an effect. This basically provides a grid, and then what we can do, and this provides more interesting patterns, we can connect textures inside this grid, for example, using the shaders. So let me demonstrate that really fast. So for example, I can take, just create a regular aiCellNoise, and just to demonstrate the color difference, I'm going to just turn this to blue and something like that. Let's see what that looks like. And what I can do is grab this and connect it to the P. And then we get a different look. So just by changing the aiCellNoise, and maybe I'm going to increase this 5 by 5 by 5. You can get this really unique looking pattern that you can add to your objects and then change it so that it's a little bit more interesting to look at. So if I change the colors, you can see that I can create some really interesting and unique looks. I'm going to reduce my density here. Or I can always go the other way. I can go to out color, connect to the base color, see what that looks like, and then connect the aiCellNoise to that, and look what we get here. Pretty cool effect. Structures. Let's see what happens when we plug it in again into the normal map, and it's going to ask for it. Oh, okay, well, I did it. But usually asks for it usually needs a 2D node for the bump map to work. So I'm going to go to my standard here. I'm going to scroll down, scoot this over, grab my aiCellNoise and just drag it into bump map, which is going to create a bump 2D node. It can't read the out color, so I'm going to grab the red and then go into the bump value. And then we have this really interesting shape. So I can decrease the bump value if I want to. Oops, that's a 0. And there you go. Now we have a kind of like a tile. Let's go to 0.5, maybe 0.25. Just want a subtle feel for it. Let's see what else we can do here. I can delete this out color. Now it's black. And I'm going to let's attach a color to it. I think that's specularity. Let's move up. Let's grab something cool like a blue. Whoops, that's kind of very blue. And that's a little, let's go for something a little, whoa. Something like that. A little bit of a tile. So we get this really interesting effect. Let's see what else we can do. Why don't we attach a grid to this? So let's clear this up. Let's look for a grid. Or maybe even a checker might be better. Checker. There we go. Now we just got to find the right placement. We'll see if we can do this. Let's see. 5 by 5. Is that better? Maybe 6 by 6. It's kind of close. 7 by 7. Anyway, probably need to mess around with it a little bit more. But we can go back to the lot here and just kind of change the colors if we want to. Maybe desaturate it a little bit. I'm just messing around, by the way. I have no plans for this. I really just wanted to show you the the butt map and the displacement map. I wasn't planning to show you all these other things, but I kind of get carried away when I create these tutorials because I think they're just really fun and fascinating. So hopefully you found this interesting as much as I do. So by mixing the AI cell with the AI noise into the butt map, you can create some really interesting textures and shaders which you can apply to other aspects of it. So I'm going to stop there before I ruin it for all of us, but hopefully you found this interesting. I definitely recommend that you guys kind of explore this a little bit more and just have fun with the procedural shader. I'm going to create more of these, of course. So this is more of an introduction tutorial to aiCellNoise and how they can be combined. So thank you for listening. I know that was a little random, but hopefully you had fun and you found it informative. Never hesitate to explore Arnold and its shaders. It's a whole thing to explore all of these really great things that Arnold can provide for us. So again, thank you again for listening. Don't forget you can always download ebooks and sign up for my newsletter at academicphoenixplus.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, of course. Like this video and share if you like it. And if you want to share it with others who would find this interesting. So again, thank you again for listening, and I will see you next time.